what it'll be. So thank you to everybody that figures out that we're on here and not the other one. We apologize for the technical delays,
Yes.
but we're here now and we're really excited. I have not talked to Mandee in like 3 weeks, so I'm super excited to hear what her life has been like. How have you been?
Oh
Has
my God.
anything new happened? Anything exciting?
So much. Well, first of all, I'm nursing my sweet dog Penny because she had to have two lumps removed today. They're like mast cell tumors.
Aww.
And she has like these two really big cuts, and it looks worse than it is. And she's gonna be fine, but she's super drugged up and laying on my feet. So I'm just sending her lots of love and Reiki and hanging she's hanging with us tonight. And yeah, for me personally, it has been an incredibly beautiful and wild and challenging and crazy few weeks. I had a breast cancer scare going on for the past 2 months.
Oh my
I
lord.
had this like really big like lump near one of my nipples, and it was really strange and kind of came out of nowhere. And my intuition was like I felt like I had an infection of some sort. It was summertime, I've been working out a lot, I was out on the beach in my bathing suit a lot, running around. I'm like, hell no, I feel like I've got like a infection. But when I went to the doctors, it was very much like, "All right, let's go, like, worst case scenario just in case first." And I tried to go get a mammogram 3 different times, and it got blocked by the angels. Like, first time, the machine broke when I was the one who was supposed to go in, like, the random person in the afternoon. I'm like, "Okay, heard, later, bye." And then the next time I was, like, ordered to go for, like, a stat one, and I was sent to 2 different hospitals, and then they both couldn't or didn't do it because of, like, scheduling or this or that. It was so crazy. And then I finally got it, and then I finally got the biopsy, and it was, like, the most horrific and painful experience ever.
Mm.
But it's because I have a really severe infection we found out from it. So it was, like, extra, painful and not feeling so good. So now I'm on the mend from that, but it really took my energy, and I got, like, a little head cold on top of it and some allergies and was just feeling down, and, lots of things going on in my personal life where I had to rearrange and help and support family and stuff, and those things are also, like, what I live for, especially as, like, an intuitive ascension guide. Like, this is what when it's time to, like, practice the things that you've learned and that you wanna integrate and how you respond and react differently to, like, all the situations that are happening. And, like, throughout the whole time I was worried about this whole breast cancer thing, it was like I was so grateful to be able to, like, practice my tools and look it right up, and I was like, "Oh, yeah." I was definitely, like, energetically, like, letting everybody, like I was, like, nursing everybody this summer. There was, like, a whole lot of, like, overly motherly energy going on from my side and where I could have brought myself back in or had different boundaries, and it's, like, the opportunity for you to go and look and revisit your own shadows, your own work, how you've been showing up and whatnot. So it was a really big invitation for me. And at the same time, it was a long process when it came to like finding out. It was 8 whole weeks that like that infection just kept growing and I didn't know what was happening. And like I'm really glad my body's like so resilient and everything. But I'm like, there could be a lot of other ways we could approach these sort of things. And like especially for the women who are scared to death for 8 whole weeks, like we know what that does to your nervous system. For me, I'm
Mhm.
very much at a place of peace and like, of a different kind of perspective at this time where I'm like, it's all good, whatever it'll be, it'll be. I am healing, I am magic, it's happening. Like, there's things for me to look at. But a lot of people, man, that's a really scary experience. And so it also really inspired me, creatively and in my work and like to hold space for people who are going through that because it's a crazy thing.
I think it's really weird how we look at things, and I don't know if it's just like old school mentality, and how people kind of like don't like to go to the doctor because they're taught they don't want to hear whatever it is. But it's a really weird thing how some people choose to just neglect certain things because they don't necessarily want to hear the news, and or they may be worried that it may be something else. It's very weird. And then also I have so many clients that I channel for. By clients I mean spirit, where they had no clue anything was going on in their body. That's like one of the biggest things that I hear about cancer when spirit comes through. It's like, I have this ticking time bomb in my body for 8+ months or a year or longer, and I had absolutely no clue. And then all of a sudden, boom, I just get sick and I go downhill really fast, and I had no clue. this was even in my body, because sometimes even though we have symptoms, we ignore the symptoms because we don't really know there's something bigger. And so it's so weird, I guess, how we keep working and keep doing and keep, neglecting ourselves essentially, when we should pay attention to those moments where maybe we don't feel well, or we're lightheaded, or we have a little bit more migraines or headaches, or see spots a little bit more. These are so little to us in our days, that sometimes we choose to just completely overlook those, and then they end up actually being something super huge. But it's so weird because
And
they all come in
sorry, I totally
little
interrupted you. We ever like
little
talked to?
things. Mm.
You know? Like, if you didn't chop your arm off or, like, you weren't dying,
Yeah.
like, you had to get your ass to work in school pre-COVID. Now all of a sudden everybody's like, "You cough, you can't cough anymore." Like, where'd that go? Like, everybody who, like, has some sort of little chronic cough or this or that, like, everyone now has anxiety if they gotta clear their throat. There's so much happening right now. But we weren't taught to
Yeah.
tune into that, and now we are.
Yeah.
And now it's, like, gonna swing the pendulum the other way into, like, hyper awareness.
I think,
Sorry.
like hyper awareness, I don't know, but I think it's great to be aware of your body and how it feels and where it might be coming from, because I've seen so many people, and it's just like the whole system essentially, in my eyes, needs to shift or change. And that's not where we're going with this conversation. But when somebody goes to the doctor and they're like, blah, 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 why do we wait until everything is like dire straits before doing a body scan on certain people, based on what they are all saying? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But at the end of the day, if you have weird things, pay attention to them. Pray on them. If you don't want to go to the doctor and you want to give it more time, do something. Don't let them go, because it's your body's way of talking to you. So make sure that you listen when it talks, so then it doesn't have to scream at you to be heard at some other point in time. And I'm very grateful that Mandee had an infection and was intuitive about that and knew exactly what she needed to do. And her angels were like, no to radiation. We don't want that in your body on top of this infection. You have worked too hard to get clean, Mandee. We're not
Oh
doing
my
that
gosh.
today.
You know,
So,
it happened anyway, and it's all good, and it happened for me, and to, like, learn a lot about it. And I got to learn things like, if you have some sort of food infection, if you put cabbage on it, that it helps you. And, like, a lot of, like, nursing moms use that for different things,
mhm.
and it helps with infections. And I'm someone who really likes to go back in time and get back into our roots, and I'm also really, very Mother Earth and a naturalist, and I love fresh herbs. So I was just drinking, like, oregano tea as much as I could, and, like, other teas and things like that. And, like, there's always something you can do, whether it's
Yeah.
taking a look at an alternative route to get you started while you're waiting to go to a doctor. Like, you can combine everything you possibly want. You can start with tapping, you can start with meditation, you can start with certain foods and things that might heal you. And it's always like a journey, and every moment is an opportunity to, like, jump right in the bandwagon and try something new. And just like Crystal said, it's really important to pay attention to those things. And both Crystal and I, we talk about it almost every show, but, like, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. If you look in the back
Mhm.
of that book, there's a whole guide to every symptom that you have going on within you. So, like, randomly, I'll just switch, or I'll just look up. Actually, I should look up and see if infection is in here by itself. It is infection, irritation, anger, annoyance. I choose to be peaceful and harmonious. I was totally irritated and annoyed a lot when, like, this thing was brewing. So I can, like, take responsibility of that and understand that, and realize how I was responding to certain things in my situation that would, or my situation in my life, and how it would cause that within my vessel. It's not easy. It's not fun. Nobody wants to look at that and be like, oh yeah, I'm, like, impatient, or I need to dominate, or I'm feeling really angry or guilty or resentful. But, like, that's the shadow work. And that's where we get to be like, hey, we're human, and it's okay to unpack some of these things. And it's there for a reason, and it's coming up to be released for a reason.
I feel like it's been a fun year of healing. So like 2020 was like really crappy for a lot of people. It was a great year for me, but 2021 has been such a shadow work year, where a lot of things started coming up to the surface in 2020. differently because I was mindful, I guess, in my spirit too, on how to handle those things correctly instead of like beating myself up like I would have before. But there were so many things that came up with me that kind of caused me to look in the mirror and be like, yeah, but that's really kind of you, and you should probably address that different because it's really easy to do this. But at the same time, my guides like to point out that there's always three fingers pointing back at me when I'm pointing one at everybody else. And so they have a way of doing things, and it's been a great, wonderful year because I feel more at peace. That's the weird thing. You got to get through the crap. That shadow work is crap in the like when you're in the middle of it, because none of us like to call ourselves out. I mean, whatever. And then we also have to deal with these things. But when you get on the opposite end of that, it just feels so freaking peaceful. It's almost like, you can finally breathe for the first time in 6 or 7 months. And it kind of makes it all worth it because you get to this whole new level of I just don't give a crap that you've waited for your whole life. Does it take away everything? No, you're still going to have to deal with stuff. You're still going to have to deal with difficult people, situations, all these things in life. You're still going to have to get through that. But your ability to
Always.
utilize those tools get easier and easier and easier. And finally, it's just like, the world can almost essentially be collapsing around you, and you can sit back in your chair, drinking your tea, going, yep, that really sucks. But at the same time, I'm here learning this for a reason. And so it's just this complete, I guess, path to peace. And it's not every day. I'm going to have bad days too in the future because I haven't learned it all, or else I'd be dead. But I'm grateful for all of those tools that they've given me throughout the year, even though some of them were really rough to get through. It was kind of crap during some of those times, but also in the middle of crap, you know that the end of it is going to refresh your mind, body, and soul in some way. And so the shadow work may not be what people want to do, but also at the other end of it, that's exactly what they need to do, which is funny because like there's somebody, I'm going to try to like condense this in a weird way so nobody knows I'm talking about them. There's this couple that's dealing with things right now in their household, and their kid came to me and said something along the lines of what it was, and I'm like, okay, so and so has an attachment because this is what it is. It's actually their remote viewing energy being taken from somebody else in the household through the attachment that has attached to them. And so they're like, okay, what can be done, blah, blah, blah. Well, people don't seem to understand that if you have an attachment, it is self-work and self-healing that really gets rid of that. Yeah, you can, if you believe in possession that way, but there's levels of possession, at first it attaches to you, and then you have to kind of like get through all of that nonsense. But the biggest thing is shadow work. That's how we get rid of those things. Like there are so many people on this planet that do have these attachments. I get attachments. I call them Klingons. Anybody who channels for spirit sometimes gets things that like to stick to us a little bit. But once it starts manipulating you in bad, negative ways, the only way to truly start to break that separation and make it go away is to change those internal thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And nobody wants to do that. They want to take a pill. And so they said to me through their son, they were like, well, she's not a certified exorcist and she can't do this. And I actually laughed out loud. I'm like, well, no, I'm not. But yeah, I mean, you can try to find a Catholic priest that's going to do this, which they won't because that's not how it works. Or you can put a little faith in the system and start believing in yourself and what you can accomplish and actually put forth the work and see your life change, which is not what you want, apparently. So I'm ultimately the bad guy. But at the end of the day, this is what you have to do. You have to change you. It's not something else. It can't manipulate you unless you change you. You have to be the catalyst for change. And it's so weird because so many people don't understand that. And whether you look at it as an attachment or just being a bad human being and needing to better yourself because you're not necessarily acting in that moment the best to your abilities, we all have this, that shadow work that gets us there. We have to look at us. It's nobody else around us. It's always us. And that's the hardest thing to do, especially when you're in that deep mode of trauma. That like you don't want to do that because it brings up all those negative feelings and emotions from everybody that's ever talked crap to you and said you weren't in some way. And so that triggers all of that in you. And that's essentially what keeps us down and not wanting to do that because we're afraid that maybe we won't succeed, or maybe we won't, or maybe we really are just this. But there's always so much more to us, always. And I don't care if you feel like you've leveled up completely, there's more leveling up from there. Like, you never stop leveling up. You are essentially in this
Ever.
beautiful Nintendo game, and you can keep grabbing that flag every single time you beat Koopa. I don't know. But there's always something in you, and so I think it's a beautiful experience to do that shadow work, even though we don't want to do it.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's a divine invitation also. It's kind of written a little bit in the stars and our charts, and there's certain times where we have enough energy and experience and opportunity to dive into some of this work. And then the cool thing about it is when you start shadow work, it's like that's when you get the glimpse of the light at the end of the
Mm.
tunnel. That's when you start to peek behind the curtain. That's when you face your fear or the first one a little bit and you start working towards, the peace and the sovereignty that you're wanting in your life and the harmony. And it takes a little bit of bravery and gumption and courage, but there's often great reward on the other side of fear. Like, yes, our intuition knows when we're going to get attacked or stranger danger or something really bad's going to happen. That's way different than like our anxiety and our higher heart fear and like all that stuff that comes in. And so a lot of times when we're brave enough to kind of rip off that band-aid or peek behind the curtain or get like a little curious about it and inquisitive, then all of a sudden we can start diving in and you get the peak of the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's worth it, and it's totally self-paced, and you get to do it as much or as little as you want, but I will warn everyone that once you start facing your fears and doing this shadow work, it can end up being really addicting too. All of a sudden, you're like, "Alright," like, things just became a whole different world in this entire realm, and, like, wow, and you show up and you plug in a completely different way, and it's a good way. And there's so many things. I wanna say hi. We have so many, like, guests right now I wanna say hello
Yeah,
to, and I
I
wanna hear
was
all
just gonna
about
do that. I
your
was like,
vacation, you beautiful sun-kissed mermaid angel sun lover over there.
so my vacation was absolutely wonderful. We're gonna say a quick hello, Pammy, Sophia, Heather, Glenda,
Woot woot.
Sophia, Michael, hello from Toronto, Jama, Michael again. I feel like and Sophia. Yep. Okay, we got all of you guys. Thank you so very much for tuning in. We appreciate you. It's been a while. My honeymoon was fabulous, and I know we had talked about it a little bit before about whether or not I was going to move more west. I do believe it was, and or south, and it was so funny because like it's going to definitely be Florida. I feel allergic to Michigan is essentially how I feel. It was the weirdest thing. Like the whole time I was there, my body felt amazing. It was wonderful. Even when it rained, there was one day of rain, which is crazy for Florida because usually it rains at least like, once a day, even if it's for a little period of time. But it was
Yeah.
so beautiful the entire time we were there. And then the very last day that we had a full day was our like off day, and it rained that day, and I still did not feel the way that I feel. And then when I flew back into Michigan, now I'm gonna say, okay, this is not Louise Hay's theory. I'm just gonna say this, but I literally everything completely like stuffed up inside of my head. My ears plugged, my nose has been running. I'm
Oh,
so
no.
congested. I literally, as soon as we landed in Detroit, I was like a hot mess. I couldn't breathe. My eyes were all inflamed. It was nuts. And I'm like, I'm literally allergic to Michigan. What is going on with me at this moment? Because, I wasn't really, it's not like I wasn't in a bad place. We had this great week. It was such a fun experience. Ben was able to kind of almost be a kid again for the first time. And it was really
Aw.
neat to see these things because like the first like couple days, he was just like, yeah, okay, we're here. He did Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights for me because that was always one of my things that I wanted to do. It was not his thing. I wouldn't go back only because it just isn't worth it for me. I found that nothing scares me anymore. So it's really difficult. I don't get scared
I
very easily.
mean, with your profession and all.
I know, but the haunted houses used to be so fun, and it's beautiful. Like the theatrics that they put into them. There were some beautiful haunted houses. The artwork inside of them and what they put into them, but that's not what I was. I literally paid to walk through art, and it was crazy cool, and it was a good experience. I just wouldn't do it again. But when we went to Hollywood Studios, he just like turned into this different version of Ben, and that's like where Star Wars is and all this other stuff, and he got to like see their theatrical rides where there's 3D screens, and he was just like, this is so cool. And then we had to hop for one ride at Epcot because they have this thing called Mission to Mars, and our space something, I don't know, I think it's Mission to Mars, I can't remember, but he has always, like, his dream is to be able to get on some kind of a shuttle and do whatever, but he's probably never going to be able to do that. So I was like, we have to go on this because it's a simulation ride. He did not stop talking about that ride at all, and so it was well worth us hopping for one ride while we were there. It was the most cool experience, I guess, to see my husband kind of let free and actually decide to be a kid for a very short period of time. So he was in love with Florida. I took him to the beach. It was his first time going and seeing the ocean, and that was really cool to be there with him when he saw the ocean for the first time. It was just a neat experience for both of us, even though I had done some of this before. We went to different places and experienced different things, so it was kind of new for both of us, but we pretty much left knowing that that's where we want to live. So yeah, we're going to be, I hope within the next year we're going to be moving to Florida. It's now a done deal. We're both moving, so it's just taking things and getting them where they need to be and switching over for me online instead of face to face for people. And I know my clients are wonderful people, so I hope that they understand.
And so it is.
And so it is. I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited. I can't even like contain myself. Just the warmth. The
Oh,
warmth. Oh
Ben
my
loves
Lord.
you.
I love you too. Hey. Ben got
Aw.
startled.
Hi, Angie and
so
Sophia and Ben, Rachel.
so yes, it was
Eva.
a cool experience and we had lots of fun. So thank you guys so very much for asking. I posted lots and lots of pictures. And so it was a cool experience. I think we both needed it a whole lot. And I think it's a fresh start essentially for both of us because there's been a lot of doors closing, I think, for both of us over the past few years. And I think this is just kind of what we need. I just don't feel it here anymore. We've talked about that. I love Michigan. It's a beautiful state. It has the most beautiful beaches, and up north, Lake Superior specifically in the UP is my most favorite place on earth. But I don't live up there. And so it's just not the same being smack dab in the middle of the state where it's like dirty and never snows and it's just like dark. So it's something I think my soul needs.
I honor that though. Like, so will you speak for just a second to our listeners a little bit on like trusting that and following your intuition and making a decision and manifesting it to happen? Like, talk about what that energy feels like when it changes and like that decision you make within yourself a little bit, if you don't mind. Because that's like,
So Mandee knows a lot about me. There's been a lot of things in my life specifically. I claim to be an ex-codependent, which if you are codependent and have codependent tendencies, it is a very difficult thing to overcome, especially if you are very attached to your family. And I love my family dearly. My sister and I just love her to death. I love my mom to pieces. But sometimes we don't follow ourselves and our souls, because we're too afraid to make that move. We're afraid of not being able to stay connected, or we're afraid of this, or we're afraid of this. And I think that that's kind of what got me caught here for so long. And essentially, truthfully, I've been married three times now with Ben, but twice before Ben. And those were awful, horrible, abusive relationships. And I needed to be here because of that. Corey needed me to be here because of that, because he did essentially need my family for those things. So it just wasn't right for us to move. I've always wanted to be out of Michigan. I just didn't necessarily feel like it was going to happen because I didn't know when or where, which Mandee and I talked about that too. There's been a lot of like last year, if I were in my house, I could take you upstairs. I have a manifestation board on my wall that I made last year that said moving to Florida. And where originally I wanted to live in Cocoa Beach, Florida, because I love the beaches there. Um, so we put moving to Florida, and that was my manifestation board. And so there's been so many like back and forth. I feel called more to Nevada. And I think I'm feeling called to Nevada more because it actually could do a lot more for my business and who I am as a person and what I want to do with my business in the future. But at the same time, my heart still calls me to Florida. And there's reasons why. Nevada is too dirty for me. It doesn't have enough tropical. It's not next to water. I need water. I literally need water as an empath to survive, and I need to be able to be around something that can like churn that energy and take me and ground me. I cannot wait to be able to meditate on a beach. I cannot wait for that moment. And so going to Nevada was what business-wise I feel would benefit me the most, but my soul didn't feel connected there as much as my soul feels connected in Florida. And so there's been a lot of back and forth with me, and it's been a very crazy, chaotic, frustrating journey because I didn't really trust myself and my own gut throughout the process. And so even when I put on my board that I wanted to move to Florida, it was specifically based on the fact that I didn't want to look outside and see desert everywhere that I looked. I wanted greenery. I like tropical. I like that energy of that feeling. So that's essentially why I did that. But I still kept talking about Nevada because I know that I could do things differently if I went there. And so it's almost like money or heart, money or heart. And I don't necessarily feel like I can go back on my heart. If my heart isn't going to be happy in Nevada, then no amount of money is actually going to make me happy. So that's where we decided on Florida. And so Ben and I made a pact before we went there and said, okay, so if we go there and this is every single thing that we want it to be, both of us, you know, this is pretty much where we're going to go, and we're going to stick to it because I've been back and forth like a ping pong ball over the past year and a half, 2 years. And so as soon as we got there, as soon as we landed, and as soon as I saw the palm trees again, I was like, I'm done. This is it. This is my place. This is my happy spot. And so that's where I'm going. I won't give up on that one. I'm still like, I think my family is going to have a hard time with me leaving, which I love them to pieces, but it's also not my problem, and I will have a house that they can come and visit.
I was gonna say
But
vacation destination.
but it's like one of those things that like it's like detaching from old Crystal. I feel like I'm finally allowing myself to completely shut the door to the last 40 years of my life and everything that's happened in the last 40 years of my life, all those ups and downs, all those things that kept me here, all that noise, all those blockages. It's like I'm not that girl anymore, and that's not where I should be. And so this is where I'm going because I know this is what's going to benefit not only myself but also Ben. And I think truthfully this is going to help us build the career that we want to build together, because essentially him and I want to be Ed and Lorraine Warren in this day and age. This is who we want to be. We want to do it for others, and we want to help them in their houses. And so that's what we want to do, and I think this is a great move for both of us to get what it is that we want. I just don't feel like my heart's here anymore, and I don't think there's any more growth for me in Charlotte, Michigan.
That is okay. That is beautiful, and it's so nice to follow that and talk about it and plant the seeds. And I love Sophia over there. Yes, sister, you are amazing. Like such a cheerleader, and being uncomfortable does lead to growth, and you will attract it because that's the thing. When you tune in with your heart is connected to your soul. And when you truly follow what it is your heart wants most and not what anyone else thinks or might think, then everything else lines up and comes into alignment. Sometimes other people have feelings or, there's disappointments or hurts, but a lot of times after the emotional shock wave goes through, everything settles for the highest good and where it's supposed to be because our hearts plug into our soul's path, and then it resonates for good for all of those that are connected around us. So I honor that so much. And you can take Ben to go watch some space shuttle launches while you're down there.
I know. I'm so excited to see that too. My son is so excited. He was disappointed that we didn't watch the one on Tuesday at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna be asleep at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm not coming to watch the space shuttle. He was like, oh, I want to be there so bad. So I'm pretty excited about it. I don't know. There's so many cool things around that area. I'm excited.
Awesome. I honor that. So what are some things you want to chat about tonight? Does anybody
I don't know, like
out there have any
anything.
questions for us or anything,
Yeah,
spark their minds or anything you might want us to talk about? That is always welcome. Throw it in the comments. We love that.
absolutely. And I love that. Thank you, Sophia. She says, you'll attract the money with that full heart. Yes, I will. I believe fully that everything's going to be wonderful. I really, really do. So I don't know. I don't know what tomorrow or 5 years down the road looks like for me or for my business. I just know what I'm manifesting. And my guides have like, I've gotten so many. Mandee, like, I used to be like the queen of manifesting. I used to be so good at it. And then it was like, for the last 2 years because of all that shadow work and nonsense. And now I'm like, boom, boom, boom. All these things are just coming back in and lining up. And I'm like, I got it. And I feel so awesome. And I'm like, this is what it's like to be in that space and actually manifest what you want. And I just absolutely love it. And I'm like, yes. So it's just a matter of time. It's coming. It's coming.
Oh, yes. Oh, you go, girl. And that's just it because you tuned in. You made a decision. You lined up with the energy. You let it flow. But there's times where we do need to sit. We need to be in the void. We need to be in the wait. We need to allow things to integrate and percolate and for the universe to catch up. And luck is preparation meeting the opportunity. So if you just keep showing up and doing your work and holding the space, things will plug back in and line back up. And then, like you said, come in tenfold.
Also, I want to say a quick, because I just got a notification. We usually say this, but we forgot. If you are watching from any other platform via Facebook or Instagram or wherever it is that you may be watching from, we don't see your comments from those other places. So please don't think
Not
we're ignoring
always.
you. We only see the comments that come on specifically through HAPS most of the time. So if you want to, you can log on to HEPS and watch us that way. But please don't think we're ignoring you if you guys are making some comments. We're not. We just aren't seeing all of them, okay?
But we love you and we're so glad you're here. And we definitely will check them all out after. And then yeah, making a HAPS account is easy. So you can always hop on and interact with us if you really want to. And Heather, sending you some extra love right now during all your transition.
Also, so anybody got any questions? I think Mandee had said that. Does anybody have any questions for us? We can keep talking all night. I'm sure we can find lots of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, never ever fails. But I'm also kind of feeling I'll have to just pull a card for all of us just to kind of get it started. Angels, this is
Sophia
from the
said,
stars.
sorry, go
Okay.
ahead.
No, Sophia said that I feel like I recently leveled up in my spiritual growth. I've felt angel energy around and I know that they have come learning. I have some things learnings coming up. Oh yes, that is so awesome. It's so cool when you like feel like you've leveled up and like we just went through a big retrograde and now we just started eclipse season. We should have on our astrologer Ursula soon to come and give us a little rundown about that because there's a lot going on right now as far as up leveling for each of us. There's always opportunities every season, but particularly right now as things are falling away with the fall season and with the change in seasons, whether you're in the north or the south, there is a change of season happening now, and there's an opportunity to either let things fall away or to plant some roots and some seeds and go from there. And when you allow yourself to, and you allow the things to settle and things to move through, and you ask, like your angels come in strong and hard for you, and you know that they're there. You can feel them, and it's usually a result of growing and becoming more conscious. Ben thinks we should elaborate a little more on manifestation.
Yeah, we can do that. You can pull your cards though.
Oh, you want me to do that still? Angels, Starseed.
Yeah, you can pull your cards.
Sure. This is from the Rebecca Campbell Starseed deck, the Starseed Oracle. What do we need to know most tonight? What message would you like to pass along to us from Spirit? The great Severine, Mars energy, anger, conflict, softening into love. So we just entered the Scorpio new moon, and that is a very watery, very intense new moon with lots happening, lots going on. And it was really emotional. A lot of people felt like it was almost like a full moon. I know personally, I probably had one of the most emotional nights that I've had in like over a year. Like everything came out on the altar, like with that full moon, like last Friday or like this past Friday and stuff. And like I feel like so cleansed and released after that. And a lot of people are having a lot of conflict going on, whether it's with friends or family or relationships or within themselves. So many people are constantly fighting with themselves, whether it's about what they're doing as a career, what they're eating, how much they're working out, whether they're on their soul path. Like there's just a lot of reflection happening at this time, and it's making us really go deeper. So that's what a lot of this, this shadow work does. And that's what this eclipse season is lining us up for. And we've got a Taurus full moon coming up, which has a lot about, speaking our truth coming in and honoring ourselves after like getting real with this watery Scorpio energy. And I love this one because it talks about anger and conflict and how at the root of it, we always need to end up softening to love. Whether that's you're really frustrated with someone because they're not hearing you or understanding you, or you don't feel like they are, and they might feel the same way. It's important to take breaths and bow out with respect and learn how to reapproach it. And sometimes if you can't, get anywhere with anybody, creating and making healthier boundaries for yourself and for others and just saying, not showing up. There's a lot of, like, emotional word vomiting happening all the time for people, and people love to always just, like, kinda lay their shit on everybody else, and there's a time and place for that, but sometimes people can't emotionally or energetically handle it, and then there's imbalances in friendships or relationships, and it's important to have healthy boundaries, or be like, "Okay, I can't talk about this right now with you. I love you so much, but could we like, have a phone call like on Tuesday and talk about it a little bit more? I have some more time and I'll have the energy to give it to you." It's so hard for us to say, wait, no, pause, because everyone's in crisis, everyone's in turmoil, and then it just keeps getting perpetuated when really what everyone needs the most is that softening into love and into peace and giving things the time and energy that it truly needs. So, yes, it's good to vent real quick, no doubt about it, but I think it's even more powerful and potent and healing if you can actually, like, light some sage. I call it lay it on the altar, have a real talk with one of your friends, have a cup of tea, and, like, really talk it through for a sec. And practice your medicines, whatever that looks like in between. Yes, cards, Sophia said. Heather said, relate to I can relate to the past few years being for shadow work. I'm going through completely unforeseen transitions. I hope I'm getting close to the other side where my manifestations start to come true to fruition for Heather. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of green lights around that for you, Heather. And I'm also just feeling called to pull you like one more card. Hopefully you're cool with it on that. And they're just saying for you, empathic starseed, energetic sovereignty, absorbing what's not yours. You really are going through it, and you really have been having to deal with things that aren't yours. You've had a lot of unforeseen things happening right now, but they want you to know that you are getting closer to the other side. And you're going through this experience to soften yourself and to look through all of these things with a different perspective and to allow it to grow you. And you are getting a lot stronger. And so they just want you to know that things are going to be coming to fruition for you, that you are declaring energetic sovereignty as you take a look at all of the other things that have come your way that is important to manage. However, you don't need to emotionally take on. So they're just sending you a lot of love, and for me, they're giving you a lot of green lights that everything really is going to come in, and just let yourself keep taking one little step at a time closer to that sovereignty. Did you have anything for Heather Crystal?
I have I have just a little bit for
I know
Heather,
there's
but
something over
also
there.
for Glenda. So your guides are super cute. They're doing this. They're like, okay, okay, okay. They're first off, they're patting you on the back, which means to me that they're here, they're guiding you, and they're listening to you. because they're also making me feel as though you're very, very frustrated right now because you don't necessarily feel as though some of your prayers are being answered and they're not necessarily being heard, but they're also like, hold up a second, because like me, what I just talked about, they're making me feel like you go back and forth sometimes and you keep changing your mind. So you're kind of going here and you're going here. And so we really, really want this, but maybe it's not time yet. Maybe we're not ready for this. And so what they're doing is they're making me feel like you've finally gotten yourself to a place where you fully understand what it means to take that step forward. And that's where you are with them now. And so yes, for a moment, it's not that they weren't listening. It's just that it wasn't time to put that big picture into fruition the way that you wanted it to be, because you still had to fine tune what that looked like. And now that you've fully gotten into yourself and really fine-tuned what that looks like within you, now it's time to take that step forward. But they're also putting up their little stop sign, which means, hold up, we still have some T's to cross and I's to dot before making that step. And so what Mandee just said is 100% accurate for you right now. They're giving you lots of love, they're giving you lots of care, and they're essentially holding you right now and cradling you, because right now you're the one that needs that. You're the one that needs to be replenished. You're the one that needs to fulfill all of your wants, needs, dreams, and self, and not necessarily, I don't want to say care, but not necessarily care about everybody else in your world right now, because everybody else right now is better than what I think you think they are. And so they're really wanting you to take this moment and really look inside of yourself and love yourself the same way that you love other people. It also gives you an opportunity to fully walk through that door that they've created for you and be completely okay with it when it happens, because unfortunately for you, those transitions that you've kind of had to deal with without any prep work at all, essentially, because there were a lot of changes that came very abruptly. What they're doing is they're making me feel like you didn't ask for those changes were brought down upon you, and so you essentially just had to go with the flow and do what was best in those moments. And for a minute, you were kind of beating yourself up about what that meant. And so now's the time to refill that love inside of you, but also know that that had to happen because you did need to build some firmer boundaries, but also kind of shut some doors to the past, so you could be that person that you're going to be in this next step. So please know you've done everything with grace and love. Even though you don't feel like you have, you're a little too hard on yourself. You've done everything with as much grace and love as possible, and they're really wanting to commend you for all the steps that you've taken, because they understand it's been overwhelming for you, okay? So yes, you're going on the right path. You are fully loved and supported, and I do want to say that to you with the most love, because they're making me feel like even though you're loved and supported in spirit eyes, sometimes as humans we feel pretty alone here on earth because we aren't surrounded with the actual physical people that we want to be surrounded by, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're alone. And so please just know that even though there's been a few people that have dropped off and or are dropping off, that doesn't mean you're alone. That still means you have a big surrounding just waiting to hold you and love you. So please welcome them the same way that they've always held you, okay? And so I'm going to go back up with Glenda.
That was beautiful.
I love you to pieces. I love you to pieces, Glenda. You are so cute and so funny, because your guides are like, first off, they're like, woo, they're giving you love. And
And we
Heather,
love
I'm
you
sorry,
too,
I didn't mean to
Glenda.
make you cry. I do hope that it meant something for you,
Aw.
though, because you're a beautiful human being and you deserve all this work that you're doing. But your guides are like celebrating you right now, and I feel like you're pretty frustrated. I feel like you're a little bit frustrated right now, Glenda, because you said that you're like leveling up and then leveling down, leveling up and leveling down. What they're doing is you're in the beginning stages of learning how to use your gifts right now. It is going to be a roller coaster ride for you, because they're teaching you how to channel. Because you are every single clair there is. You can hear, see, taste, feel all of the things. You are every clair there is. You have to understand how to channel using every single bit of what that means. No human on this planet communicates openly the same exact way. So why do you think it's going to be the same way when spirit comes through to us? Oh, no. Sometimes you're going to have really skeptical people that just sit on the outside going, okay, you're so psychic, read my mind. Tell me what you think I think. That's what spirit does. So they try to shut us out and don't give us anything. We have to pull the information from them and or say, okay, well, I'm not going to channel for you. Sometimes you have people who will give you everything. They'll give you thoughts, feelings, emotions, imagery, senses, everything all at once. And those are the best readings because everything comes through and you can literally bring that person back to life for that sitter. But then you have other people who just really had a complete mind opening on the other side and they don't know how to communicate at all. And so what you're dealing with right now is them giving you every avenue. So as soon as you get used to this way that spirit comes through, your guides are going to remove that completely. They're going to take it away completely, and then they're going to give it to you in a completely different way. And so that kind of gears you up for every which way spirit can start to come through for you. So then you can channel those people who are a little bit harder to talk to, or those people who are a lot more on the reserved side in life. And still to this day, I'm going to just be completely honest with you. As a medium, some days I cannot channel certain people. They will not talk to me, and that's on them. I can't force spirit to have a communication with me. If they don't want to, they won't. And so some days I can't channel at all. And so I'm just very open and honest with people, but please know right now, Glenda, that's essentially what you're going through. They're teaching you different ways to utilize the spirit around you. And so it's going to throw you off a little bit, but keep loving yourself because you're doing it all right. And also they're doing this to me, and that means how they're presenting it to me. You've actually reached out and you have done a couple readings for yourself. Thank you. They're doing this, like, yay, because you finally listened and it wasn't as awkward as you thought it was going to be. So they're really patting you on the back and saying, great job, you're doing a great job, but don't get so down on yourself when you don't pick up all the things that you think you should be picking up on, because sometimes spirit makes it really difficult for us. Boy, I could talk about some of the first readings I had. They were a hot mess.
May I pull a card for Glenda too?
Absolutely. I love Glenda.
Card seeds for Glenda. Ooh, you got the Star Brothers. Forest energy, protection, loyalty, safety, and trust. Glenda, you're an ancient sister. That is why you have all of these senses, all of these things coming in so much. But it's important to just sit with them, observe them a bit, choose to enjoy the pleasure of them and not put any pressure on them. Allow yourself to know that it's all happening for you, that you are safe, that you are loved, that you are protected, and that everything that's going on, like I said, it's happening for you. And if you get overwhelmed, do take a few breaths, set your shield, and allow yourself to reset in the moment. And don't forget to just have fun. And they're also showing just some of this masculine energy around you. Like, I don't know, like, I'm sure like you have a partner you love spending time with, but if you have any kind of like brothers or uncles or good like guy friends, kind of there's some like masculine energy that's meant to inspire you and allow you to be held and like just have some good old laughs coming up soon. So allow yourself to enjoy that at this time and know that you're very protected and to trust in this, sister. I also wanted to go back up for a
So,
what were you going to say?
oh, I was going to just say hello, Tanya. I'm sorry if I say that wrong. I'm horrible with names. And hello, Viwi. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. One says that she's not sure how these lives work, but she's happy she caught one. And Viwi, I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong. She would like a reading. So you can go back up if you feel so in tune to talk.
Well, I just saw that Laura said that lately she felt like there's been one thing after another with life,
Yeah.
like I can't get a break. And how do I deal with it and maybe change my outcomes? Girl, I've even been feeling that. And I'm someone who teaches how to get through all this stuff. And when that happens, when things are just there's so much and you're like, I just can't even deal with this anymore, it's inviting us into surrender. And surrender is just saying, okay, I'm going to show up. I'm going to take care of myself in the best way that I can. I'm going to show up for others in the best way that I can, but I'm going to have some healthy boundaries. And I'm going to, and it's like on your worst days is when it's so important to go over the things that you're grateful for the most. Like I've worked with a lot of people through grief and severe trauma and people who have been wronged for crazy things, and
Mm.
there's always a sole reason going on for it, and it's not even that we did anything wrong or we did anything to deserve it, it's more that our higher selves are wise enough and strong enough and capable enough to figure out how to navigate around it, and it's a bit of like a soul challenge. Oh, I just looked and we have 111 like 111 people watching, and I love that confirmation of 111 right now. And and so what happens is it's just we have to go and break ourselves down into the smaller moments of our own energetic sovereignty, and those are the things that you can control. So sometimes we need to cry. Tears water our soul garden so we can grow. Sometimes that's the best thing for us. Sometimes we need to say, "Okay, you know what? Like, I can't catch a break, but I'm really grateful I have these 5 things in my life right now. I'm really grateful I can breathe. I'm really grateful I can type or see or hear at this time." Like, we have to go back to the basics sometimes, and when we do that, it helps us to start looking on the other side and start coming through, and that's how I deal with it when I feel like I can't deal with it anymore. And the angels are just
That's
showing some
exactly
good
how I
things.
deal with it.
It is? Yeah, tell me a little bit more, and
That's
then I'm gonna pull
exactly,
a card for
no, you go ahead and pull the card. Like, that's exactly, sometimes it gets so deep and it's really hard to pull yourself back out of that. And that's what I do. Like, before I go to bed, because like, let's just be honest, we're like going through some, excuse my French, shit storms right now when it comes to a
Yeah,
lot of things. A
dude.
lot of us are. And so there's a lot of endings happening for people that they don't understand. There's a lot of craziness happening in families. There's a lot of, there's a lot happening. I don't need to say it anymore, but in those moments, I literally lay with myself and I go through my day. And, if the day is really crap, I ask myself, okay, what can I learn from this situation? And sometimes I don't have an answer then. It's not bestowed upon me in those moments. I have to get to it the same way all of you do. They don't give me the answers. I have to figure it out. But I'll ask what I could learn from that situation. And if it doesn't come to me, then I'm like, okay, well, I thank you guys for presenting that answer to me when you feel the time is right and I can receive it correctly. And then I sit with myself and I take in deep breaths. I take in at least 3 or 4 cleansing breaths. In 4, hold 4, out 4. And in those breaths, I say, I am so grateful that I have lungs to breathe. I am so grateful that I have a body that can relax. I am so grateful that I'm alive and my heart is pumping. I am so grateful that I have this bed that I can sleep on. And then I just go through all these things. I am grateful that I have arms. I am grateful that I have hands. There are so many people that don't have those things. And so there are so many things in your life to really look at and fine tune and be extremely grateful for. And that's what I do too. And it's a way to reflect and bring myself back. And then I do I am safe. I am at peace. All is right in my world. I am okay. And then I bring myself back and I repeat those things as many times as I need to clear my space and get back to a state of being able to be clear-headed so I can get to sleep and or just start my day off correctly, because sometimes life is very overwhelming. And so if you feel overwhelmed, don't beat yourself up about that, because that's something we all experience on this planet too. We just have to find ways to utilize what that is to us and essentially kind of lift ourselves out of it. I love you, Laura, and I do really hope that you are soon at a place, because I feel like Mandee's going to pull a card for you, and I do feel like this is kind of coming to a close for you a little bit sooner rather than later. But I also feel like there's a whole lot of noise happening around you that doesn't really have to do with you specifically right now. It's just things that are close to you that are interfering with your happiness and your peace. So we'll let Mandee pull a card so she can give a little bit more on that. But I do think that things are coming to a little slower space for you.
Mm. I'm gonna pull that card, but that's something to talk about. We have so many amazing empaths up in this group right now, and we can feel everything going on, around us, whether it's with our partners or our loved ones or the world or what's happening. And sometimes it's really hard to not plug in to the events that we hear that are happening on the news, to the stuff, the friends who are sick or something happened. Like, there is a time and a place, and that's how we start controlling our emotions and becoming empowered empaths, as opposed to just letting it always control us, because we can start learning how to have such compassion where we're sending, love and healing light and all of these amazing energies to the situation and respecting that even if it's a terrible situation, there is something there that is happening for those souls that we need to honor and respect, even if we can't see the truth around it. And some of the things that we can do for the greatest good is to set that boundary and bring ourselves back into our present moment in our own stories timeline and experience joy or experience whatever it is that our heart's calling us to at that time. Something I love to do when I feel like I can't control what's going on, but I care so much, whether it's somebody who I know's house burned down or just got diagnosed with cancer, or I had a really hard client and helped them through some serious intense trauma and it's still lingering with me. I'll light a candle. I'll light a candle and just say,
Mhm.
Angels, thank you so much for protecting me, for helping me to be of service, and for sending out all the healing light that you can for the highest good for those who want to receive it. And just that energetic thing, just like acknowledging it, helps you to set that healthy boundary with yourself and with others so that you can grow and give even more love out of your heart at this time. And then last but not least for Laura, elder, move beyond ancestral patterns. So this
Wow.
when we have, a lot coming up for us. And a lot of times when it's one thing after another and we can't catch a break, it's how we're responding to it. And it's about learning how to transmute our reactions into responses and to take a look at all the people and things around us and learn from, the good things they did, the bad things they did, and get real honest and real with what we're repeating and how we're showing up in our own lives and how we can maybe change that. And that's going to just send you on such a trajectory, and you have like such beautiful elders and ancestors like rooting for you and wanting you to heal some of these things in your lineage. And so it's one of those things where it feels shitty, but it's happening for you and you're strong enough to handle it and do it, and you can call upon your ancestors to help you. So that was for Laura.
Sorry, I heard something. It's been coming in. I was like, who's walking in my door? I'm getting ready to like karate chop somebody as they're walking in my business door, and I'm like, hold up, Mandy, I may have to like go rogue here for a second.
You are so protected. Angels got your back.
Nope, just my husband. There will be no rogue tonight.
Aw.
So, okay, so are you wanting to pull a couple more cards, or do you need to close out?
We could pull a couple more. Do you have just a couple more minutes?
Um, well, I do have a couple more minutes. I'm going back to Tanya and also I can't say her name. I know I'm really doing this wrong, but Viwi, because they both asked if they could have a reading or have a card pulled for them. And
Okay.
I'm not getting. I'm gonna say it's Tanya. The only thing I'm getting for you is actually a whole lot of love, and you have several people on the other side. They're all giving you lots and lots of love in your life and lifting you. So that means to me that right now you are in a place where you are actually taking a step up in your life, and they're really making me feel like you worked really, really hard for this, and you should be very, very proud of that. Because I don't think things were easy for you. They're giving me boom, 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 which means you had a lot of loss around a very short period of time, and you essentially bent over backwards to make sure everybody else was taken care of in those moments. And so they're really just making me feel like you're finally coming out of the dust of that and really starting to internally understand the healing that you need and putting yourself and your needs first. And I think you have this beautiful space in your life where you're actually able to let that in. So we're going to let Mandee pull a card and see if her angels say anything else on top of that, because I think things are really going to be looking up for you very, very soon with your life. And I'm sorry you had to get through it to get here, but
And this is for Tanya, right?
yes.
For Tanya. Angels, do you have a message for her? Snake, to shed old skin. So, just like Crystal kind of said, reflecting that there's a lot of embodiment happening. There's a lot of opportunities for you to be showing up a little differently and to Allow yourself to enjoy how hard you've worked and to reap the rewards and enjoy the new things that you've created, not only physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, like all the things. And let yourself kind of shed old ways of being that used to serve you that just don't anymore. You've been
Mhm.
doing that a little bit and you're still doing that and they're really proud of you. So I'm just getting a lot of just like gratitude and happiness and bowing to you because you've been on the right path for a little bit, sister, and they're just giving you some extra love and hugs and empowerment and to let you know that it's safe to just follow what makes most sense to you at this time and trust in it.
Awesome. Yay!
Cool. All
I like
right,
it
who's
when
next?
people have cool. Um, it was Z Ziwi Ziwa. I'm so sorry, guys. Please, Lord have mercy on my name.
Vivi from South Africa. I'm going with Vivi, but if we said it
Yes.
wrong, I'm sorry. I got for you the medicine garden guardian. Be open to
Mm.
healing information. They're showing not only for you is like green and incredible color for you to work with because you have this just huge heart that's always expanding and growing. You also have some healing going on within your own body and like they're just showing
Mm.
rest is needed and integration and just to calm down some things if there's some stiffness or inflammation or things like that. I'm just seeing a lot of rest and fruit and water. But then I'm also seeing that this is coming to you because you also are such a healer yourself and such a medicine woman within your own right. And you have all of these different um tools and resources and opportunities and things that are coming to you at this time that it's important to learn from. So if you have anything coming up within your body, take a nice close look at it because not only are you going to heal it within yourself, but then you're going to be able to pass that information on. So thanks for joining us. We're excited to have you here and honored to hold space.
And Heather says the deck you are using is my absolute favorite Oracle deck. It's so, so loving and kind. Um, and I'm going to say I agree with Mandy and Viwi. I do believe you are a healer. I'm curious, is there a woman around you, like an elder, either mom, grandma, somebody like that that has a heart condition or did have a heart condition?
Mm. Oh, Heather, I love this deck too. Yeah, the Angels and Oracles. It's our Angels and Ancestors by Kyle Gray. You guys are looking for a really cool and loving deck. Great one.
So
Maybe
I'm
did, but
not exactly.
I have no idea to channel it.
So I don't know what this is because
Oh, she
it
said, "I've
doesn't
been hearing
necessarily
I'm a
feel like this
healer, but she
person
has
has.
no idea how to channel it." So she's getting messages she's a healer already. I
Right.
don't know about the ancestors.
I yeah, I believe that fully. I don't know if this person is like actually crossed over though, because how I'm receiving it is this person is still alive. They're not making me feel like this person is actually. Oh, she did
Yep,
pass of a heart condition.
her
So
mom's
how
sister.
I'm getting this is that she's almost making me feel like I don't know if you saw her prior to her passing or if you knew something was going to happen before it happened, because how it's coming to me is that there was like a connection that took place while this woman was still alive, and that's probably why she's coming through like that with me today. The heart condition that she's having, it's almost like aortic. I feel like my aorta isn't necessarily allowing the blood to flow through the way that it's supposed to, and I almost feel like it's a congestive heart failure type of situation. But at the same time, there's more to that because it's not quite getting the oxygen because it's not pumping correctly. And I almost want to say that I feel like it's a little bit floppy in how it's actually receiving the blood flow to the heart. But what they're doing is they're making me feel like you actually connected to and or would have felt empathically some of those things prior to her crossing over. And so if you don't know how to receive things, I would Google the symptoms and signs of being a spiritual empath. And I would also make sure that you look into different types of, a really good book is by Pat Longo, and it's called The Gifts Beneath Your Anxiety. Beautiful book on what it's like to be an empath, because I feel like you are connecting on a more empathic level versus a spiritual level right now. And I think they're trying to fine tune you a little bit into the different feelings associated with what other people are going through, look into Reiki healing. That would be a really good avenue for you, because you have that beautiful ability to channel that energy and utilize some of those things, but you're also really cool in the sense that you also have a multitude of ancestors waiting to work with you. So I know that you're from Africa, but I'm not exactly sure what your ancestry is. How they're presenting this to me is they are making me feel like you are very Mandee-ish in the sense that you love to connect with earth, herbs, spices. You know these things very well, and they're really making me feel like you have the ability to not only utilize those things and bring them in and serve them in a way to heal people, but they're also making me feel like you have the energy to take and heal people with the energy on top of that. And so those might be things that you might want to look on. Mandee, do you have any like books or anything like that that you learned from that might offer her some help in that?
I think the one you talked about was great. And then someone earlier mentioned, I think it was Sophia, reading the Four Agreements actually is
Oh
one of
yeah.
my favorite things to start really honoring and getting in tune with your own energies and what's going on and what you're taking on that is yours and isn't yours. And I feel like when you do start practicing that, it allows you to understand and hear and channel spirit a lot easier because you're really putting your ego at bay a little bit and you're able to open yourself up more to the divine around you. So I always feel like that's a really great place to start. Um, yeah, and then the one you said is perfect. Yeah, we should have talked to Pat Longo again. We got
Oh
to talk to her before on a, show, and it was
yeah.
incredible.
I was like, I love Pat. She keeps me.
Yeah.
She's still in my head. I like it when her spirit hops inside of me because we're all kind of linear. We can do whatever we want, and she'll hop in every now and then and be like, Crystal, psh, 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 get your crap together. And I'm like, crap. Okay. When Pat's hopping into my head like she's dead, I know that I need to listen. And so she's a beautiful guide for me. I absolutely love her. I'm going to read this one last comment it's from Tanya. It says, thank you. Yes, you are saying it right, LOL. And you were spot on with the losses. We went years without death in the family until December 2017 when my grandpa passed away. My mom 10 days later. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, 10 months later, my grandma, and 2 years to the date of my mom's death. Sorry, my thing just went crazy. Mom's death, her mother passed on, and I've been struggling so hard the last few months trying to handle the massive increase of toxic energy out there.
Mm,
I can't tell you how much I appreciate the wonderful messages you two have passed on to me. Thank you so much. No problem. I am so sorry that you guys, or you
mm,
specifically, have went through what you've went through. That is a lot in a very short period of time, and that makes so much sense as to why they're trying to cradle you with the love that you are. And Viwi also says, wow, so much validation. So will I get a mentor that will enhance my abilities? Because I would really love to help people. You know what? This is one of those, I know Mandee's going to say the same thing.
I was
Ask
gonna
and you
say.
shall receive. And Mandee's a wonderful mentor. I'm going to put that out there. She actually helps mentor people all the time. So you could reach out to her if you would like to, if you feel guided to somebody else, or if you just want to wait for spirit to give you that push. Pat Longo, the lady that I just mentioned about the book, The Gifts of Being, or The Gifts Beneath Your I can't even say it now. Now, see, I don't remember the name, but
It's
she was
beneath your
my mentor.
anxiety.
Thank you, Mandee.
You're
She was
welcome.
my mentor, and she came into my life when I needed it, when everything was falling apart. I didn't ask for a mentor. She just kind of was like, poof, here I am. So if you want one, tell your guides that you're looking for a mentor and reach out to whoever you feel guided to that sits right with your soul and go in that direction, because that's the way that your people are trying to take you. So thank you guys so very much for tuning in. Sorry we had some technical difficulties, but it turned out awesome.
It worked out
Mandee,
great.
how can people find you?
You can find me on seagoddesshealingarts.com or Sea Goddess Healing Arts here on Haps, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I absolutely love holding space with people and for people. I'm an intuitive ascension guide, so I help people along their spiritual journeys. Sometimes I help healers learn how to be healers a little bit more. Sometimes I help people go through shadow work. Sometimes I help people clear traumas and dramas. Sometimes I help people to manifest and talk, to their guides. There's a lot of different options. So would love to connect with anyone. If you're feeling called, please give me a shout out. Love to hold space. And Follow us if you can on Sea Goddess on YouTube because we have lots of other shows. We have this amazing show with Crystal, Spirit Speaks, and then we have all kinds of other ones too. And there's lots of free resources and healing tools and guidance for you out there. Crystal, how do people get a hold of you?
Spirit Speaks with Mid-Mitten Medium on YouTube, and I am midmittenmedium.com if you want to check out my webpage. I am going to say there are a few people who are here that have used Mandee's services, and I know for one that they cannot. They talk so highly of her and what she has been able to help them through. She's an amazing human being, and she's also a great mentor for people. And so, yes, I would 10 stars. I'm just going to put it that way. I send lots of my clients that are struggling to her because I'm a channeler of spirit and I do like short-term bursting of healing, but Mandee does long-term understanding and pulling things up from the depths of our hell souls and then trying to help us get through that stuff and do it in the most beautiful way. So
While
I just want to say
while
thank you
honoring
guys.
our moons.
Because like, she's amazing at it. Trust me, I hear many stories. But thank you guys so very much for tuning in with us, Mandee. I absolutely love you. I'm so grateful that we got to do this tonight, and I can't wait to do it next week.
I love you and I'm proud of you. And that's just the thing. Like, I hold space and give the tools, but what happens is once you connect with your own angels and start empowering yourself a little bit, you're the one who has all the power within you. So I'm just a facilitator between the angels and I to help ignite that a little bit within you. And there's so many things. Oh, Vivi, I'm seeing some comments come in. It's totally possible. I have clients all over the world. If you're in South Africa, we'll just figure out the time difference and just head on the website and see if something works for you, and we'll go from there. And if you have any questions, just shoot me an email at seagoddesshealingarts@gmail.com. Heather, thank you. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, everyone. Sophia, Pammy, everybody who joined tonight. We love you all, and we will see you all soon. Thank you,
Bye,
Crystal.
guys. Oh,
And
I want to
Ben,
give love to
bye.
your giving love to your puppy too. I'm gonna send some energy to your
Yes,
puppy and his little hip.
my
You have a
sweet
great
Penny.
night.
She's all passed out and healing, so that's good.
Aw.
Aw.
Bye, Mandee.